Our goal for this evening is to help you have a better understanding of the financial aid process, information, and especially terms used in the application process for the various types of financial aid. There are four main types of financial aid: grants, scholarship, work study, and loans. We will go over each type and the different terms that you will need to understand when looking at the different types of financial aid. How do you apply for financial aid? Well, there is the FAFSA, TASFA, CSS profile, university scholarships, and outside scholarships. What is financial aid? Financial aid is a way to pay for college. Grants are free money that you do not have to pay back. Typically, grants are related to the student or parent's income level. They are need-based. The need-based means the amount of money, the amount of income, or the resources available to the students and or the parents of that students. Scholarships is free money that does not have to be paid back, is usually application-based. It is either going to be awarded by an institution, meaning a college, an organization. That organization could be any type of organization. It can be a company, it could be a religious organization, it could be a nonprofit organization, it could be a business. All different kinds of organizations award scholarships. Again, scholarships and grants do not have to be paid back. Then you have loans. Loans are a form of financial aid. The money does have to be paid back. The loan can be awarded to the parent or the student. The loan can be offered by the federal government, private banks, or the university itself. Work study is money earned by the student for working while they are going to school. The student must indicate that they are interested in a work study program through their financial aid application. The student earns money by having a job. It is not a loan. It is a part of the student's paycheck, and the student earns money by working. Sometimes, depending on the university and the type of work study, the paycheck may go directly to the student's tuition, or it may go into the student's pocket in form of an actual paycheck. In the financial aid process, there are some terms that you will want to make sure you understand before you get started. Specifically for the FAFSA application. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. This is the application that students will complete if they would like to receive federal grants or loans. In order to complete the FAFSA application, the student must be a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident of the United States of America. A parent's citizenship or permanent residency does not affect a student's ability to complete the FAFSA application. All students who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents are eligible to complete the FAFSA application. Eligibility to complete the FAFSA and qualifications to receive grants or loans are two completely separate things. SAR is the Student Aid Report. The Student Aid Report is received by the student after the student's FAFSA application has been successfully processed by the IRS. The SAR will state if the student has been flagged for verification or not, and it provides the students with instructions on how to review the EFC. Verification is a process that the student must complete through the college or university that they are applying to if the IRS flags the student's application. The IRS may flag the student's application for verification if the IRS notices an error in the application or if something does not match in the application, in the FAFSA application. So maybe the student typed in a birth date wrong in the application, and then during the verification, during the review process, the IRS noticed that the birth dates did not match. That would cause the student to be flagged for verification. Oftentimes, the students can clear up the verification by logging into their FAFSA and making corrections within the FAFSA application. If corrections cannot be made within the FAFSA application, the student will complete the verification process with the college, not with the federal government. The EFC is the estimated family contribution. The estimated family contribution is how much the federal government thinks the parents can give the student each year to help the student pay for college. The EFC is calculated by the information included on the student's FAFSA application. It is a mathematical equation based on the family income, the number of people who live in the family house, and the number of people in college at the moment that that FAFSA has been completed. So the estimated family contribution is how much the federal government thinks the student's parents can give them each year for college. The EFC can be anywhere between 0, meaning that the family is not able to give the student any money to help pay for college each year, up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how much income that family has. Data retrieval tool. This is a tool within the FAFSA application that allows the student and or the parent, whomever filed U.S. tax returns with the IRS, to access the IRS tax return information needed to complete the FAFSA within the FAFSA application. That sounds a little confusing. So what happens is the student is completing their portion of the FAFSA application. Once the student gets to the part of the FAFSA application where it asks the students if they have filed a federal tax return for the previous year, and the student says yes, the FAFSA application is going to ask them if they want to link their FAFSA to their IRS tax return. If the answer is the student should answer yes. Let me say that again. The student should answer yes if they have filed a FAFSA, a federal tax return for the previous year. If the student has not filed a federal tax return, which is completely fine because they are students, then the student will not have access to the data retrieval tool. When the student gets to the part of the application that asks for the parent's financial information, then the parent will need to make sure that they have filed the previous year's tax return. It is extremely important that the parent have already filed the tax return, and then the parent is going to click on the link for the data retrieval tool. The parent will then enter their information into the data retrieval tool, and the data retrieval tool will automatically look up the parent tax return and import the information into the student's FAFSA application. It is very important that we make sure that the parent uses the data retrieval tool. If a parent does not use the data retrieval tool as part of the FAFSA application process, the student will be flagged for verification and will have to complete a lengthy verification process with the college. So it is important that during the FAFSA application process that the student, if the student has filed taxes, complete the data retrieval tool, and that the parent complete the data retrieval tool. TASFA is the Texas application for student financial aid, for free student aid. This application is only for Texas permanent residents that did not qualify for the FAFSA, meaning that they were not eligible to complete the FAFSA application. So students who are not U.S. residents and not U.S. citizens, but are Texas residents, are eligible to complete the TASFA, the Texas Application for Free Student Aid. This would be money from the Texas government to help pay for college. The CSS profile is a financial aid application available through the College Board. Only specific universities will accept the CSS profile. Typically, colleges that accept the CSS profile are going to be your highly selective private universities. A student will know if the college accepts the CSS profile because during the financial aid process on the university website and with additional documents that the student needs to submit, it will specify that the student needs to complete the CSS profile. Again, only students who are applying to colleges that accept the CSS profile will do the CSS profile. It is another type of financial aid. Typically, the CSS profile is used to award a student institutional aid from the college. So FAFSA is for federal aid and CSS profile is for institutional aid. Subsidized loans. Subsidized loans are federal student loans for which the borrower is not generally responsible for paying interest while they are in school during the grace period or deferment period. The student is not required to start repaying the loan until 6 months after they stop going to school. That is either they graduate or they drop out. So subsidized loans are going to be based on the parent income level. Typically, if a student qualifies for free or reduced lunch, the student will qualify for subsidized loans. Students who do not qualify for free or reduced lunch may also qualify for subsidized loans. Subsidized loans do not charge interest while the student is in school. Once the grace period is over, then that loan will start accruing interest, but interest is not charged while the student is going to school. An unsubsidized loan is another type of federal student loan. This federal student loan also has a lower interest rate. However, interest is being charged or is being accrued during the time that the student is in school. The student still does not have to start repaying the loan until 6 months after they have graduated or dropped out of school. Hopefully they do not drop out of school, but the student does not have to start repaying the loan until 6 months after they stop going to school. However long the student is in college for, they will be charged interest on that loan. A Parent Plus loan is a federal loan that parents of a dependent undergraduate student can access to help pay for educational expenses. The interest rate is tied to the parent's credit score. A Parent Plus loan is a typical loan with a regular loan repayment schedule. As soon as the parent starts the loan, then the parent needs to start repaying the loan. It cannot be deferred for the 6 months after the student graduates like the unsubsidized and subsidized loans. It is a typical loan with it does usually have a little bit lower of an interest rate because it is a federally backed loan, but the parent does have to start repaying that loan once they take it out. FSA ID is the fancy name for the FAFSA username and password. The student must have an FSA ID to complete the FAFSA application. The student must complete the FSA ID creation process before they start the FAFSA application. One parent must have an FSA ID, and they must create that FSA ID before their student can complete the FAFSA application process. Remember, when working with FAFSA, the FAFSA application is the student's application. It is not the parent's application. The student completes the FAFSA application. So the student must have a FAFSA username and password. The name of the FAFSA username and password is FSA ID. Same thing for the parent. They are two completely separate usernames and passwords, but the application is the student's FAFSA application. COA stands for cost of attendance. The cost of attendance for a college or university includes tuition, fees, room, board, textbooks, living expenses, meal plans, travel expenses, miscellaneous expenses. These expenses include what are called direct and indirect costs. The need of a student is the amount of the cost of attendance, the money your family cannot afford to pay. Need is calculated by the cost of attendance minus the EFC, which was the estimated family contribution. So how much the college thinks it costs to attend that school minus how much the federal government thinks the family can give to that student will equal the need that remains after financial aid has been awarded. Direct costs is money paid directly to the university. That is going to be the tuition charged by the university, the fees charged by the university, a dorm room, which you are paying directly to the university, or the meal plan, which you are paying directly to the universities. Direct costs are money that you pay to that college or university. Indirect costs are costs incurred by the student or family for everyday living. So your travel expenses, your Starbucks, your cell phone bill, things like that are considered your indirect costs, your miscellaneous costs. Scholarships are free money. Free money is money you do not pay back, and we really encourage students to apply for every scholarship that they can find that they qualify for. There are two main types of scholarships. You have university or college scholarships, and then you have outside scholarships. University scholarships are awarded directly by the university to the student. It can be an athletic scholarship, it can be a merit-based scholarship, it can be an application-based scholarship for leadership. It can be a scholarship that is awarded to the students by major. All of the different types of scholarships that the college has, those are your university scholarships. Some university scholarships, the admissions application is the scholarship application. Some university scholarships will have an additional scholarship application that the student would need to complete in order to be considered for the various types of scholarships offered by that university. Outside scholarships are what we call third-party scholarships. In Fort Bend ISD, students can find third-party scholarships through Naviance. See your college and career readiness advisor or your counselor for additional resources on where to find scholarships. But start with Naviance, and then when it comes to applying for scholarships, be sure to pay very close attention to scholarship deadlines, especially when you're looking at the university deadlines. Oftentimes, the scholarship deadline for the university is well before the admissions deadline. For example, Texas State admissions deadline is March 1st, but the Texas State scholarship deadline is December the 15th. University scholarship applications vary depending on the university. Some schools, the admissions application is the scholarship application. For example, University Houston's admissions application is also the scholarship application. If you want the University of Houston to consider you for university scholarships, then you must submit your application and have all required documents turned into the university by November 15th. Some colleges, there is an additional scholarship application in Apply Texas. For example, for Texas A&M University, in Apply Texas, there is the admissions application and there is a separate scholarship application. You can submit the admissions application without submitting the scholarship application. However, we do not recommend this. Make sure that you do both at the same time to ensure that you are able to be considered for these scholarships at the university. Some colleges, you have to submit the admissions application before you will be given access to the scholarship application. For example, Stephen F. Austin State University has a priority scholarship deadline of December 1st and an admissions deadline of August 25th. However, if you want to be able to apply for the university scholarships, you must submit your admissions application well before February 1st so that you can gain access to the university's scholarship application portal. And then there's still some schools where you have to be accepted by the university before you would be able to apply for university scholarships. An example of this would be Sam Houston State University. In order to apply for the university scholarships at Sam Houston, you must be accepted to the university. Then you will gain access to the university scholarship portal. The priority deadline for scholarships at Sam Houston State University is November the 1st. So that means you must receive your acceptance letter well before November 1st if you want to be able to submit the scholarship applications by the scholarship deadline. How to find third-party scholarships. Third-party scholarships are the scholarships through Coca-Cola or the Chamber of Commerce. Maybe it's a scholarship through your church or your religious organization. Maybe it's a scholarship through a nonprofit or a company. There are all kinds of scholarships out there. There are scholarships for students who have red hair, blue eyes, one eye, one green eye, one blue eye, one brown eye, one purple eye. All different kinds of scholarships out there for all different kinds of students. Our favorite scholarship website is a scholarship database called eScholarships USA. If you Google eScholarships, make sure you include the hyphen. The first link that'll come up on your Google search is going to be College Guidance Consultants eScholarships USA. There is a username and password because this is a paid subscription by Fort Bend ISD. To gain access to the username and password, please see your College and Career Readiness Advisor. That is who is going to have the username and password to the eScholarships USA database. eScholarships USA has hundreds and hundreds of scholarship applications available to students. And the great thing about eScholarships is it's going to put the scholarships in due date order. So if the scholarship is due today, it's at the very top of the list. Also, with eScholarships USA, it tells you right then and there what the criteria are to submit the application. So if you have to have a certain GPA or be from a certain ethnic background or have a certain major, whatever the qualifications are, it's going to tell you right then and there. So if you meet those qualifications, great. Click the button, go to the website, figure out how to submit the scholarship application. If you don't meet those qualifications, then you just keep scrolling and you find the one that you do meet the qualifications for. Remember, the more third-party scholarships you apply for, the more you will receive. So it's very important to keep applying to everyone that you can find that you meet the qualifications for. You can learn more about financial aid and the different types of financial aid at studentaid.gov. Contact your College and Career Readiness Advisor at your high school. And then also you can contact the financial aid office at the college or colleges that you're applying to. The financial aid offices at those universities are there to assist you. And once you are finished with the application process and you've received your aid, if you're looking at what you've been offered and you feel like you still need more, it is okay to ask. Remember, if you don't ASK, you don't GET. Thank you for watching our presentation tonight. Have a good evening.